Hello, writers. Today I want to teach you about something called graphic design. And what graphic design is thinking about all of the design elements, the way we present information using technology. So through Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint, or if you're creating a website, there are certain things that you need to think about. And we're going to be talking about three of those today. We're going to be talking about contrast, backgrounds, and font choice. So here's our teaching strategy. Today, I want to teach you that when they use technology to present information, writers need to think about how their presentation work will look. They think carefully about contrast, backgrounds, and their font choice. So let's start by talking about contrast. Contrast is how one thing is different than something else. So when you compare things, it's how they're similar. When you contrast things, it's how they're different. And without even reading the words, this is an informational text I've written about electric guitars. We can see that the background is very light in color and the text is very dark in color, and it's easy to see the difference. The text is easy to read. So watch though what happens when I change the contrast of the text. So if I change the color of the text to something that's lighter, maybe we even go a light greenish, you can see that it becomes much harder to read the text. So see, so now we have a light colored text on a light colored background, and it becomes much harder to read. That's contrast. So if we have a light background, we want a dark text. If we have a dark background, we want a light text. So we really need to keep that in mind because our goal is to get our viewer or our reader to learn from what we're doing. So that's what contrast is. Now let's take a look at how backgrounds can affect the readability of our text. So here's a really cool background I found. I love it. We have two problems with this. Number one, my content is about electric guitars. While this is a cool background, it has nothing to do with my topic at all. It's like putting a background of a rainbow on an informational text about pandas. The other thing is there's too many colors in this background, and you can't even read the text. There are many words that it's really hard to understand and read. And for me, looking at this background, it kind of looks blurry and it looks like it's moving. And while it looks cool, this is not a good background to put text on. Again, because it has nothing to do with my topic and because there's too many colors. It's too distracting and we can't read the text. So let's take a look at a different background that might make more sense based on electric guitars. So here's another one. All right, so here I've changed the background to white. I've put a picture of an electric guitar, but we still see that in certain places, it gets hard to read. So we go from a light background here to a dark background here, and we lose words. Oops, sorry about that. We lose words in here. And so while this background makes sense, it's still challenging to read all of the text. So this background also would not make sense. All right, so maybe the colors didn't work. So let's change from colors to black and white. Oh, here's a couple things I did. So I went to a black and white picture background for electric guitars, and I changed the contrast of the font. I made the font bright yellow, whereas the background is darker. And this is better, but it still gets challenging to read. It still gets challenging to read when I'm in this area around here. Okay, there's different parts where it can get more challenging to read. So this is better than the other two. Okay, so it's better than this one. It's much better than this one. Okay, so this one I might work with. Okay, this one I might leave. So let's pretend we work with this background, and now let's take a look at how we can change fonts. Okay, the font, as you probably know, is the way the words are written, the style of the word. And We have lots of cool fonts to choose from, but you want to make sure that your font makes sense. If you're talking about a serious topic like disease or hurricanes, you don't want to choose a fun-looking font. So watch what I do as I change some fonts on my text. So here's what I did. I did a couple things. So I changed the font color of my heading from yellow to red, which makes it kind of cool, okay? I made the font bigger and it becomes much easier to read. It becomes much easier to read than what it was before. And then the other thing I did is my important vocabulary that I want to teach my readers about. So the words pickups, the words volume pots, and the word jacks, these would go in an inset box, words to know, okay? So overall, this is better than what it was before, okay? Hang on one second, let me go back a slide. This is better than what it was before, okay? So this is doable, but then watch what I did next. I actually took the background out and I left the background black and I chose a simpler font and I took my picture with a caption and I put it off to the side. And so now the text becomes really easy to read and my reader is not distracted by my backgrounds. And you can see down at the bottom, I have my words to know that are highlighted. These will go in an inset glossary box called Words to Know. And I have a picture with a caption. So out of all of the slides that I created from my text on electric guitars, this is the best for the reader, okay? It's stripped down. It's one color in the background. The contrast between the text color and the background are very strong. And I still have space for a picture. So now you try it. Look at your work and think about the following. Is there a strong contrast between your text and backgrounds? Does your background make sense based on your topic? And does your font choice make your text easier to read? So those are the three things you need to think about. Those are the three things we talked about in this lesson. Then I want you to take your time revising your backgrounds, your images, and your font choices so that your reader can focus on the content of your writing and not get distracted by colors, backgrounds, and fonts that don't help your reader. Remember, this is the goal of how we want our images to look. Easy to read so our readers can focus on our information. Go ahead, writers, make it happen.